You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by FootballStadiumPrints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're a Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped!
Yes!
And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot of the goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot. And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
I love me a good midweek show. Welcome back to the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, or Josh, as the YouTube sphere called me this weekend on the stream. And I am joined, by, as always, by my main man, the voice of City Game Day for not one, but two cities, the Nate Morales. Nate, packed show this week, packed week for the team, and it's still hot as hell out there. Are you over being locked in a booth for 180 minutes, just leaking sweat?
Yeah, man, at least I'm in my basement. Like where it's nice and cool. Like that was super brutal. It's one of those things where, you know, you get used, you kind of start to expect it. Like, okay, I'm gonna be super hot today. I can't wait to watch these games. I just got to get myself mentally ready. And then you get up there and you're just like, I need all the water right now. It was rough, but I had some fans on me, and then when you guys joined, it was a lot easier. So I don't know, man. It's summertime. You take the good with the bad.
Yeah, you do.
A lot of good in the show this week. Dakota recap. And I don't mean Dakota Fusion. I mean the Dakota Young Stars. The first in our two UPSL games, or the UPSL game in our doubleheader that we had on Saturday. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's next up for the UPSL team. We're going to recap the Med City game, the second game in our doubleheader, the marquee game, if you will. And then based on that, we're going to go around a little NPSL North spin around. There's a lot going on in the NPSL North, and we've got some angles to cover. And then finally, Dakota Fusion preview, a game on Wednesday night. Joy of the People preview, game on Saturday night. A lot of soccer this week to talk about. So listen to me now or listen to me later. We got to get to it.
All right, let's get after it, man. So as the first game of the club's first ever doubleheader, which is weird that I'm saying
that's kind of cool.
We haven't done it before. The Rookery, Minneapolis City 2, was looking to further build their lead in, for lack of a better way to say it, Nate, just a weird UPSL Midwest Conference with the heat index was at or above 92, but the boys beat the Heat and ultimately beat the traveling Dakota Young Stars, who didn't bring balls or bibs or a goalkeeper or a person to warm up the goalkeeper. So we had to help them. So basically lumping that all into just UPSL things.
Just sure, UPSL things. All right. It makes you like counting our chickens before they hatch. Like, what does the rest of this league look like? when we run into some people at playoffs, like, is it going to be just this crazy? Are we just running up against the luckiest of the lucky bastards from all across the country? Hopefully, and then we'll stomp them. But when a team comes to play and they need your goalkeeper coach to warm up a guy who may or may not be a field player in net, you know that you're going to have problems on the day as that team. Already starting with some nerves, I bet, those Dakota Young Stars, especially against this starting lineup. You had Mitch Wolf in net. You had a back five or back three, I guess, of Will Orser, Ethan Anderson, and Wes Lawrence, with Connor Axos and Luke Lindsay playing those wingback positions. Scotty Heinen is the deeper midfielder. Abai Habat and Stephen Wright, more advanced midfield. And then, of course, our dynamic duo for Minneapolis City 2, Derek Ullman and Cole Schwartz. Really nice to see those guys up there. And then the game changers, Abdi, McCray Drong, Saddam Stu Sane. He even came on, and I thought, like, people will not get this joke.
No, probably good that you didn't do that.
Nathan Streets, was that his name?
Streets. Yeah,
Streets.
yep.
Oh, the mean streets. I like
So
that.
so Nathan was a U20 on our U23 team, and then he came back to us from he goes to Occidental College in California, and he didn't know if he's gonna be able to come back or not. So he has been double dipping with the Futures program to get more training in.
Occidental, that's expensive.
Yeah, and you gotta be a certain kind of mind to go to Occidental.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just take schlubs like you and I at
No,
Occidental.
you gotta be from the mean streets. Adam King was another game changer that I like to see. He's really decent. And
just
then of
full
course
top knot. Full top knot.
And then Jacob Popkin, new guy Adnan Gilby. We hadn't seen him before. My man Nils and Ben Schliemann all on the bench. And I don't know, that's a lot of talent. So let's see how this game went. So surprisingly, John, and I'll say this, like, give credit to the Dakota Young Stars. They came out for about 44 minutes and 50 seconds with a really organized back five. When you think about how adept at this point in the season Derek and Cole are at playing off each other, dropping back into space, creating space for each other, trying to find those runs, they were not having it. And it felt like just when Ullman thought he had some space to make a run, that pocket collapsed where as a defender shifted over. As you bring in Axos and Abai, and even when Luke would come up, like a lot of times, Stephen Wright, really good on the ball. There's also we tried a number of combinations in that first half to try to create space for an attacker, and each and every one of those times, Dakota was collapsing in, and really like the last guy was able to make that stop and pick up the ball off of the unrushing player. And so what happens is that City, while can't really pester this non-goalkeeper, right? I mean, that's the thing to do. When you know that you're up against a guy that has no idea how to play his position, you got to just hammer those shots at him, right? And just assume something's going in.
It baffles me that whether it's teams in the UPSL or the NPLS, that they are still sitting back on both of our teams, because we play such patient, possession focused soccer that we're not going to just go, balls to the walls and start going at people. Even if you smell blood in the water, like a field player playing goalkeeper, you're still going to pick and choose your spots, and people still think that it's a way to try to stay in games when they're realistically just getting worn out by us.
Yeah. And I think that's what happened, but they did stay in the game. I mean, 45 minutes, and everything Derek and Cole were trying to do was being stymied by that back five. So credit to them for that first half performance. City's still able to maintain a majority of possession throughout the first half, and I'd say a lot of that possession was in the attacking third, or at least the Dakota side of the field. And then what happened is we just started to rip some longer, lower percentage shots. Just got to get the ball in the box, right? Put pressure on the keeper, see what happens. You might get a weird bounce. You might get the defender out of position that it bounces off of. Who knows? But eventually you just got to, both out of frustration and just to provide yourself some other options, just see what happens. Put the ball in the box.
Yeah, and I think you started to see that a little bit. I think you started the corner kick started mounting up, and more numbers were getting forward from a perspective of the set piece. But I still think it was leaning heavily on how can we create an advantage via possession via the Prunty 3-5-2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? That is one of those longer range shots from deep lying midfielder Scotty Heinen that finally got through to open that scoring right at the close of the first half.
That was a laser.
Yeah. When he's come in as a sub, he's been really dangerous offensively. He's created space. He's created chances. He usually causes a lot of problems in and around the box. But when he starts the game, he's used in a deeper role talk a little bit more about Heinen and his multifaceted midfielder skill set, because it seems like he can do a lot.
I mean, the funny thing, as you're reading that off of your show notes here, the thing that trying to hold back the laughter is I think his best position is as a winger. So
Crazy.
yeah. The thing you get out of Scotty though is he is quick with his pace of play. So if he's a deep lying midfielder, he's one of those guys that you think as a, when I say I think he's best out wide. You think that he's a guy who wants to carry the ball, go at guys, but then you put him in the middle of the field and he's 1, 2 touch, 3 touch max passing and just moving, trying to get it back. So I think how he's deployed is based off of need. When you have guys like Abai and Stephen Wright in front of him, then you need that possession focus, quick move the ball, number 6 in the 3-5-2. And he can do that. And I think that, you see a little bit when Abdi Kadi plays there. It's kind of like that mold. Like if you play here, this is how you play. And he's just one of those guys that can adapt his game to wherever he's put in, which is nice. He's kind of like a lot like Kevin Hoof, where you can put him anywhere. And he's just a solid soccer player who will just do his job.
A little faster than Kevin Hoof, but yes.
Yeah, well, he's a little younger than Kevin Hoof. He's like 20 pounds lighter than Kevin Hoof.
City goes into the locker room 1-0, and it only takes 9 minutes into the second half for us to find our second goal. Another long-range bomb from Abai deflected off of the head of a Dakota defender. That's a tough break for that keeper, right? Like he might have had the line on it, but after that, it's just like, oh, well, never mind that. And so you can see him start to lose steam, and that was the end for the young stars.
That was it.
Yep. As the subs poured in, so did the goals, dude. Like Ethan Anderson gets ahead on a cross. I thought it was Nathan Streets, the mean Streets, but it was Ethan. McRae Drong pounces on a low skimming cross that the keeper totally missed, which was too bad. Popkin gets him with another long range blast. And Nils, man, he comes on late. He's turned up to 11 from the start, basically intimidates the ball into the net. And he
great way to put that.
Ends the keeper's emotional life. Like that was just a brutal cherry on the top of a really bad day for that guy. So you got to feel for him, but you gotta get excited for Minneapolis City. Keys to victory. We won. How did we do?
Well, number 1 was keep banging in the goals. They didn't take that one lightly, to the tune of 6. I mean, obviously things could have been different if a actual goalkeeper was in net, but you never know. I mean, still putting in 6, I didn't see anything outside of just the blunt force trauma that was Nils. That was the only one that maybe a goalkeeper could have stopped. But the other ones were like well-placed shots, good combinations, shifting the defense around.
I think a real keeper would have been able to deal with the cross that McRae scored on too. But yeah, you're right. Otherwise, it was like a lot of lasers, just really well placed.
Number 2 is play better as a unit. I thought I saw that. I still think that like there was certain times in the second half. I admit I got there late in the first half, like right around the hydration break time, so I didn't see the first few minutes. I had to get a sub at Jimmy John's if I was going to be sweating my butt off in a booth. I need some nourishment. So I didn't see that, but I thought that collectively the play was much better. And it wasn't a case of the opposition either. I thought that it didn't matter who they were playing against. They were playing better when they had the ball. But a few times the final pass was let down. I think the scoreline could have been way more as it got stretched and as Dakota started trying to get back into the game. A couple final third passes. I think Adam King had a couple. McRae had a couple. I think I think Stu Sane figured out that playing in the MIAC for St. Thomas is quite a bit different than playing in the UPSL. I thought there were quite a few times where he held on that extra touch and then he paid for it. So hopefully he puts that one in his memory bank. But I thought altogether, though, a good team victory, pumping in the goals and obviously moving the ball better as a unit and not getting as stretched as they had against Rochester. And then finally keep a clean sheet. I didn't see a shot on Mitch Wolf when I was there.
I saw one.
Okay,
There's
so
one in like the 17th minute. There was a really nice. I don't know how the free kick was won because I was also doing the live tweeting duty, but there was a free kick in a sort of dangerous spot, and the guy was able to curve it around the wall, and Mitch got hands on it. So there was the one. I'll call it one save, one shot, one save for Mitch on the day.
They had players who could play. They just could never get them the ball because either we had it or they were taking a goal kick.
Yeah, absolutely. So sadly, John, the UPSL team, just as we're getting to know these guys, I'm really falling in love with these guys. But that UPSL team is not home until the end of this month. But next up is going to be Granite City. Granite City sits in third place. They're 4 points behind City with 3 wins and 2 losses. Like you said, this is a weird league, so who really knows? But these results show them to be extremely beatable. They've had victories against Rochester, who are in last place. They beat Turbo Sports, who are also not good. And they beat Inter, which was a little interesting. They beat them 5-1, like really bad beat. So that's who knows what's up with Inter. I would chalk that up to Inter's lack of consistency rather than anything that City did wrong.
Well, and speaking of that, Father Popkin is no longer their head coach. So, there's that.
That's interesting. That's news.
Recent news, yeah.
That might be. I mean, he really had them tactically correct.
Yeah, at least to play against us, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then Granite City has lost to Brooklyn Knights and FC Minneapolis, who we've seen and beat. So. Oh, well, with a friendly against the Futures on Friday, John, what do you think Prunty's approach is going to be? Because MC2 is going to be in action 2 days in a row. I'm going to assume that you lean on the tried and true starters on Saturday and you use Friday to get the bench players extended minutes, right?
Did that get moved?
No, I'm pretty sure.
The friendly I thought got moved, or did it get moved to Friday?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Let me just double check here and make sure that I get my stats correct.
I just saw a social media post about
it. They do not play on Friday because of fixture congestion. So their next match is against Granite City on Saturday.
So that's it.
That Minneapolis City 2 versus Futures game has been moved, I thought.
Oh, scheduled tweet error.
I don't know. I could be wrong too. But either way, if it happens, you're 100% correct.
Otherwise, we're full speed ahead for Saturday, which is great.
Yep. And I think, I agree with you. I really enjoyed my trip to Rochester with those guys and being on the bench and helping them out. It was enjoyable. It's a good group of guys. I think that they all kind of collectively have that brotherhood mindset, which the NPSL team has. And I think they're at the point now though, where I think, if you can pull off the victory at Granite City, and then you have Flora next. You have 3 games next. If you can pull off the victory this weekend, and then maybe start to look forward to playoff scenarios and thinking about who you're going to get out of the Midwest. There's a lot of good teams looming outside of this conference. So I think that, just keep playing the way they're playing. I know there's some additional reinforcements that haven't yet played that are in the mix that could potentially be good additions from a playoff perspective. So I'm excited to see what the end of the season is, and we could have a potential trophy lifting before the NPSL season's over here if these guys do their job.
And you would love to see it. That's what they're here for, right? Got to win that hardware.
I'm gonna drink out of it is what I'm gonna do. So in the marquee match of the doubleheader, with a lot on the line, the fellas were still not given an easy game setup. Even though we were at home, it was still hot as hell. And that's something you definitely have to deal with. I think it was about 89, 90 degrees on the turf at kickoff, which was at 6 o'clock at night. So that's tough. It's tough to play in. But the heat nor the 10 men behind the ball that Med City deployed were a match for this Crows team that continued its role as they brought down the only other lossless team in the North Conference by a scoreline of 2-0. Starters for that match, not a ton change. There's a few key additions in here. Your back line of Elder, Charlie Adams, Max Kent, and Murakami were the same from the Duluth game. However, Jack Barry replaces Jonah Garcia, who seems to never have not played for us since he got here. But Jack Barry moves in to the back line. Ian Smith returns to the starting lineup as a defense center midfielder. In front of him, Captain Max Stegward, and then Brian Lopez getting the start on the back of earning it against Duluth
For sure.
at the attacking center midfield position. And then your front three, another change there. Will Kidd, Midu Youssef, and Lionel Vang slotting in for Justin Oliver. Justin getting a little bit of a break on the day. Game changers, Troy, Miles Stockham-Willis, Jonah Garcia, as you mentioned, Kevin Andrews, Artie Perrins, Justin Oliver, and Dominic Mesjin. So, Nate, I was actually extremely excited for this one because there's a few names on this roster for Med City that I was really looking forward to watching. Some really good talent that we've actually heard of. AJ Jarvis. I mentioned it on the call.
Bart Harley Jarvis?
No, AJ.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe
Bart's dad.
But or Bart's son, I guess you might want to say.
That baby's a total chode.
So
you have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I don't, and I don't care.
Okay, never mind. Keep going.
I don't care to even ask, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a show. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is off-air stuff. AJ Jarvis we've seen him for 3 seasons, and I mentioned it on the call of the game that outside of Matt Elder, who's I feel has been one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the North Conference for just shy of a half decade. Duluth has had some quality goalkeepers, but AJ Jarvis is right up there. He's fantastic. And I was excited to see him. Jack Hilton-Jones.
He's from the West Midlands area of Rochester, right?
Yeah, I think he's a more of a homegrown product for them. Jack Hilton-Jones in the central midfield. Definitely wanted to see him play. I'd watched him on tape, and he did some work against the other teams in the North Conference that he faced. Colton Prater was actually going to play with MC2, but apparently playing against us in the NPSL was what he wanted to do, and well, we all know how that worked out. And then Tyler Oliver, obviously Justin's twin brother, who we talked about also on the call of the game, that the reason why he's not in the mix with us is because there's so many Gustavus players that are throughout our, from futures all the way up, that he couldn't. So
illegal.
He fell on the sacrificial sword on that one and ended up his way in Rochester.
He got a sweet player manager gig out of it.
Yeah, he did. It's definitely a resume stuffer for him to be able to put down that he's an assistant coach for an NPSL team as he works his way up in the coaching ranks. So no harm, no foul there. But that group of say 5 guys, I was really excited to watch. Lambo up top, I thought he scored a few really good goals in some of the games. So they had the talent, but from the jump, Nate, this one was pretty clear in my opinion. Med City was not going to throw anything forward besides Lambo. With no sense of urgency, as even in the first half, taking their sweet time with throw-ins and goal kicks. And I think it's an attempt to keep this one as close as they could. But what that ended up doing for this Crows team is that they have that eye on possession and patience, which we've seen over the past 5 or 4 games prior. It gave them pretty much the ball all the time. And There was literally a point where the only time for a stretch of 8 minutes where Med City got the ball only when it went out for a throw or a goal kick. We had just kept the ball and moved them around and moved it forward, moved it backwards. Just put them to the chase for at least 8 minutes. I was trying to keep track of it, but then obviously I had other duties to do there. So it pretty much gave them nothing to do because they didn't have the ball. Outside of that, it was pretty much all Minneapolis City just wearing them down, making them chase on that hot night. And going into the first hydration break, I think Matt Elder had to maybe thwart one cross or corner kick, but there was no threat from Med City as they were just kind of trying to lump the ball forward up top into that one striker, and there was just 3 or 4 on-waiting City defenders to gobble up the ball and start moving it around again.
Yeah, my notes it's funny because I feel like the Med City strategy was better at the start when I think the guys were too amped up. When the Med City guys were amped up enough to not follow
crowd
the strategy.
noise,
Not follow the
crowd noise
strategy.
going.
Like they came out excited and they put a lot of pressure on our back line. Like I thought in the first 15, 20 minutes, we had a hard time getting into attack mode. Like Lambo is big. They were pressuring Barry and Kent. So like you said, just move the ball around, nothing too uncomfortable, but still like there was nothing positive really in our movement early. And they even had the early first chance, which was deflected for a corner, but really they were starting to play very physical, I thought, and clogging that area in front of net. That disappeared almost immediately. Like I said, 15, 20 minutes into the game, City asserted itself as the possessors, and I think the more dangerous team, obviously. But yeah, I think as we went into the break and as the half wore on, it's almost like when you're watching a no-hitter, like you look at each other and you're like, have they even shot the ball?
Yeah. I thought it was less of like have they shot the ball and more of like have they strung together more than 2 passes.
Well, you can extend it to that even.
Well, and again, the players on that roster, I've seen them play like multiple times, and they can play. It just seems like a bad tactical decision by 2019 NPSL North Coach of the Year Neil Cassidy. I mean, like I would never play that way if I had even half of the players that they had. I would at least try to do something. We mentioned it in the UPSL breakdown of the game. Teams are going to have to figure out how to go at us because they can't sit back on us because we don't care if they do. Like some teams will get so overly excited when a team sits back, they're just going to force right into that wall, and we're like, go ahead and sit back. Like we will over the course of 90 minutes figure out how to score against that, and that's what happens. So coming out of the hydration break, I really felt like it was less of like what will Med City do, and more of when will the Crows finally score. I mean, this is how I felt. Just about 10 minutes into that second period, MVB clearly had kind of given the Crows the opportunity to move forward. But coming out of that hydration break, it was more of the same stuff. The Crows content on seeing out the half, keeping the ball, knowing that they had expelled far less energy than Med City had, and the on-waiting bench with all that firepower was still there. So outside of a few half chances, and I think one really good save by Jarvis on Lionel Vang's low left-footed shot that tested him for the first time, there was really no blood. And at this point, Nate, Med City had to have thought that they were kind of in the making for maybe a draw and perhaps sneaking out a victory on one of those late opportunities they've seemed to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best chance for Med City came at like right at the end of the half. Bad giveaway from Stigwart, and both of the Maxes really had to sprint at top speed to stop Lambo, who was in alone against Elder. But they got him. He didn't get the shot off. I think it was Kent that caught up with him, and Stigwart took the ball away. But that was about as dicey as it got for Minneapolis City in that half. Was one bad decision and what could have been a chance. So easy to forget because it didn't amount to anything. But I'm with you. I think Med City might have felt like we could pull off a couple more of those and sneak something out of this.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, one thing that we don't talk about is actually how fast for how big Max Kent is. Like he covers a lot of ground really quickly, and that just showed when he chased down Lambo. But just about 10 minutes into the second period, after halftime, like I said, I think MVB clearly was like, I gave you the license to amp it up after the first hydration break, but after halftime was like, all right, let's go. And I thought the action at that point, I thought ratcheted up quite a bit. A very active Brian Lopez, who was as we mentioned, riding high off of his performance versus Duluth, definitely warranting the start. He started to really get things moving. He had a couple real nice inch perfect passes, a real nice long ball to Will Kidd, a couple nice balls into Midu. He was able to break up the play in the Med City defensive third. And at that 10-minute mark into that half, he broke up a play. The ball kind of just happened to fall at Ian Smith's foot. He slotted an excellent entry pass into Yusuf Uchek too, who then found Vang. So a lot of great off the ball movement, which I think was all set up by what we did in the first half. Like moving them around, not knowing what the guy you're guarding is going to do when the other team gets the ball. Lionel Vang was the third runner, and how many teams in our division have let alone two runners? Will Kidd was the first runner. He didn't get it. Yusef got it as a second runner, and the third runner off of Yusef was Vang. Awesome individual touch. Nice shifty first step, eluded the defender. It was brought down inside the area in the 56th minute, and that's where Captain Max Stewart just stepped in, slotted home a nice penalty, kind of wrong footing Jarvis, and there it was. That was the goal. It would either open, and Nordo and I kind of talked about it. Is this going to open things up, or is this just that lone goal that's going to be is that it? Is that for Med City?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I guess what I think is really cool is Lionel Vang and his ability to maintain possession in the tightest of spaces. When you think about some of the moves he's able to put on guys and basically look like he's standing still, right? Like
defender had no clue what he was going to do.
No, I mean, this is the thing.
No clue.
When Lionel gets the ball, it's a matter of, foot to foot to foot to foot, and he hasn't gone anywhere, but the defender is all over the damn place.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where he's going, and it's really, really, really awesome to watch. And then, of course, Lionel decides to make the cut, and the foot, when he sees an outstretched foot, when he sees an opportunity for something like that, that's great. And it's another it goes back to the ancient traditions of Goose and Will Kidd. Like when you've got a attacker that can draw contact in the box like that just by baffling their opponent or by flat out like demanding contact in the box, you've got automatic goals in the season. It's just a bonus. So I really like that out of Lionel Vang's game.
Excuse me. So at that point, the subs started to come in. It was pretty much more of the same as not only our previous matches, but also the first half. Saw the Crows with the lion's share of possession, the ball really able to do what they wanted it to do. Not a ton that Med City could really do. Tried to throw some guys forward. They were disjointed in their press, and they put another forward on, and they ended up subbing him off.
They did. I was wondering about that. They subbed him off for a different guy, and
I mean, that's the second game in a row that we've had where a player has been subbed on in the second half against us and then subbed immediately off. It's rarely that you see it happen once, but happened back-to-back weeks. That was a little interesting. But I thought that it was another tactical error by Med City to not try to force the issue, and at 2-0 with the ability that some of their players have, you might as well start like trying to have a cohesive unit step out of the bunker 30 yards in front of your goal.
Yeah, instead it felt like City had 80. I wrote down 75% of possession, and that was conservative. I think we had probably 80% of possession in that second half.
Yeah, and it was all because of just a bad tactical adjustment that then it was taken out on that forward that came in. Like, what was he going to do? So young man Kevin Andrews, he came on looking to provide a spark after being shown pretty much a locked door against goalkeeper Daly from Duluth, who robbed him of 2 goals, and then ultimately saw him back to the bench as our own in the same half tactical sub, trying to add another defender on. Then Ben Scoten pulled Kevin Andrews off against Duluth. But he came in this game, Nate, with like an added bit of an edge. And I think it was kind of as a result of that, which is what you want to see a player respond with. when he got the ball, he made things happen, and he really did just that. Minutes later, after the second hydration break ended, another great run that was kind of culminated off of an 8-pass sequence or a 9-pass sequence that saw Dominic Mesgen run a great 1-2 with another substitute that was just on fresh, Justin Oliver, who beat Jarvis, only to see this shot just smash off the near post, where Andrews was really just in the right spot at the right time, like making the right read to cover the back post, and taps it in the 76th minute. And this, Nate, was about as big of a nail in the coffin that you can drive into a team. They really had nothing of substance on the day at all. That was pretty much game, set, and match. The final 10 minutes of stoppage flew by. Everyone but Troy ended up getting into the match. And the Crows are again top of the table and undefeated.
Still top of the table and undefeated. Yes, sir. Really dominant performance, I think, by Minneapolis City against a team that coming into this week you thought would have put up a greater fight than Duluth. I mean, I was more nervous for this game
than the Duluth game.
In the aftermath of the Duluth game, right? To know that like we were able to handle that, but this is another undefeated team. How can we
6th ranked team in the country? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do we manage this? And is this going to? It's another tough test. And
well, they beat up on the bottom half of the division, and they had
and that's what we said right on the show last week. Is like now the games really start for them, and sadly for them it started with us. So
and what we didn't also mention is that they are like Duluth on that Wednesday, Saturday schedule because they decided to wait for their guys to come back.
Yeah.
And that's so hard to do. It's okay. It's super hard to win in our division, no matter how good you are, because weird shit happens. We'll talk about that when we get into the preview of the Fusion game a little bit. When I go through that, it's super hard to win in our division. Whether it's 1-0 or 6-0, like it doesn't matter. It's just hard to do. And then you're trying to throw in having to do that twice a week.
Yeah. How hard is it to win twice a week for a month and a half?
Very hard. And you throw in like 90-degree heat. Those guys had to be fucking gassed. Like it's just not a smart management move. Like figure out your roster, get guys in early, or pay the price.
Heard that. So last week we outlined some keys to victory, John. We got the victory. How did we do with the keys?
Watch the set pieces. I think there was maybe one of danger, and Matt Elder caught it. So again, tactically, I think they were incorrect in how they came at us, and what their strength was, what we saw in set pieces wasn't even possible.
We were so worried about those.
Yeah, it caused us to make a tactical adjustment from a personnel perspective with bringing in Jack Barry over Jonah Garcia to win every ball in the air because he's 12 feet tall. So we even set up for it when actually that game was tailor-made for Jonah to move the ball. You know what I mean? So I don't know what they were thinking. Number 2, control the narrative through possession. We did a lot of that. So I'll say we did that. And then score the early goal. It doesn't baffle me that we don't score the early goal because we're scoring all of our goals in the second half pretty much. And now I'm starting to be okay with that because we're not doing anything stupid in the first half. We're setting up those goals for the second half. So I still think that I'd love to see us getting into halftime with at least one goal on the board to start putting these from 2-0 into 4 or 5-0. But it is what it is. You're still winning 3 points. So I don't really care about that one.
I get it. I mean, you want that statement out of the gate, right? That establishes your team, in a morale busting way as like, we are the best players on the field and you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of the game. But at the same time, like you can establish that without scoring as we did. Like we hung onto the ball for 75 to 80 of the 90 minutes. Right.
Right.
And that's demoralizing in its own right.
Yeah. And again, it's really tough also to lean on your attackers to score a goal early when everyone has sat on us. So like, what game have we played in that got stretched? Like we haven't had one yet. And getting stretched is where you start to get those opportunities that aren't like the half or quarter chances that we're getting against a team that just is like, all right, well, we're just going to try to hit on the counter and go long. And like, I'm really looking forward to a team that actually like listens to our show and is like, wants to come out and fight, like
someone that we taunt into action. That would be so great.
Yeah. I want to see it. I want to see like a good end-to-end match. I don't want to see 10 guys behind the ball and everything going long. Like, this is me being a soccer purist. I hate watching that kind of soccer, and we're kind of forced to watch it up in the booth, right? Like we can't turn away.
I think it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna come until late in the second half of the season or into the playoffs. I'll tell you that.
Okay, so let's briefly divert our attention here and talk about that. We have done the math, and we know that 27 points in our conference gets you into the playoffs, and 28 wins you the division every single year. So right now, Minneapolis City is sitting on 15.
Let's get into the NPSL North spin around, John. Let's talk about the table, right?
Yeah. So real quickly before you get into that, 12 more points are needed to secure a playoff spot, and 13 more and we haven't even hit the halfway point. Mm-hmm. Teams are going to have to figure out if they want to try to be that team that gets the 27th point, if they want to fight us, or if they want to just concede and then fight each other.
Yep.
So I really would like to see everyone fighting everyone instead of sitting back. And that's just me personally. And it's not arrogance at all. It's just that, like, I'd really like to see that happen, because even if we get through to that 28th point or that 27th point and we get into the playoffs, other teams aren't going to sit back on us. They're going to come at us because it's tournament soccer. You have to win. Yep. So early in our conference, you don't have to win. You just have to not lose. And that's why it's tough to win in our division. So let's fight. Come on. Let's throw the gloves on. Let's do it.
Fight me, you little bitch. Yes. So you got to give it, John, to the NPSL North serving up the drama this year. It feels like you said, every team is getting set to go after each other. Nobody really wants to attack us. So let's take a look at those results from this last week and the current table. Last week there were Wednesday games. So Med City, they gave themselves a little pick-me-up ahead of their defeat at our hands by beating Eris. And Joy
setup.
Yep. That's the warm-up game you're looking for. Joy Athletic puts 3 past Sioux Falls to pick up 3 points at home, which was nice. Sioux Falls must not have been super happy about that, because they this is amazing. They punished Duluth with a last-minute free kick winner to take all 3 points on what must have been like just a roasting ass day out on the prairie.
Duluth didn't even equalize until the 80th minute.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Scoring in that game, John, didn't even start until the 81st minute. So if you came late, you felt pretty good about that decision. It's super unbelievable that Sioux Falls pulled that off. But at the start of the season, you and I said, this team steals points when you least expect it, and we just need to make sure it's not against us. Thankfully, it's against Duluth, who are now in third, which is amazing.
That's not the answer Duluth wanted after facing us.
No, not the bounce back game.
Yeah, you would have looked at them to get angry, and I mean, Sidney Warden is a true goal scorer. Like, that guy is legit. Yeah. And you want to find any way possible to get in a position of advantage with him inside 25 yards. That's not a long ball up to him, because he's not a big guy. So they had a whole week to figure that out against a team like that they're going to face against Sioux Falls, drawing on how it didn't work against us. And they didn't do it. And Sioux Falls just snuck one in. Us. No, and they snuck one in on them, and that's what happens. It's hard to win in our division. I watched the whole second half. I saw all the goals. I don't know what Daly was thinking in net, to be honest with you. I think he maybe tripped a little bit, or caught a cleat, or slipped and just couldn't quite cover. But I mean, Limmer hit that thing from like 35 yards out.
It was a deep free kick.
Yeah, and it just kind of skirted its way on the turf. It wasn't like a laser beam, but he hit it hard and it bounced a few times past the wall. I thought the wall could have probably just stuck a leg out and probably cleared it, but weird shit happens, man. That's why I love soccer.
It's the NPSL North. So currently, Minneapolis City, of course, sits at the top. First of all, I love this. I love this part of the show, and I've missed it. So currently, Minneapolis City sits at the top of the table. 5 wins, 15 points, plus 16 goal differential with 18 goals for and 2 goals against. Amazing power ranking of 3. Med City, who we just defeated, of course, in second place with 4 wins, 1 loss. Duluth, as we've mentioned, in third place with 2 wins, 2 losses. They're also down a game. They've also only played 4.
Yeah, they got a game in hand.
So
how does that work?
They started so late. I don't know how someone's gonna. It doesn't make any sense.
If we all played 5 games, then who's the opponent that they haven't played already?
Yeah, very strange.
Oh, it's Med City. They played Med City 3 times in 5 days later on in the summer. Which both those guys. What were you thinking?
Wait, they play Med City 3 times this season?
2 times. Sorry, 2 times in 5 days.
Oh yeah. Okay. Joy the People sits in 4th. Joy St. Louis Park in 4th place, 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. Really decent showing for them. They are at 7 points on the season. What's that? Sioux Falls with 6 points, 2 wins, and 3 losses. Dakota squeaks a win against Eris. We were just speculating who's going to be the new Eris, and it seems like it's Eris.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but who knows? That. It's going to be between these two. It's going to be a battle for pride, I think, throughout the season to figure out who can just win a game or two, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is again, it's lower league soccer. So, Minneapolis City comfortably sitting on the top. Really excited for the second half of the season to begin next week. But first, we got to talk about this week, John.
Yes. So what do I really say about Dakota Fusion when we called them the new Eris last week, only to go out and beat Eris? So way to go, guys. Dragged back out of that cellar. The first match up against these two teams, which happened to be our season home opener, which is really hard to wrap your head around. It wasn't that long ago that we played them in our season opener at home, and now we're playing them a second time already. It had everything: an early red card, lots of goals, our first glimpse of soccer in a full year at home. Like, it was all sorts of stuff. But since these two teams have been on 2 separate trajectories. Crows clearly to the moon, and the Fusion have been battling their way through every game, mostly being on the losing end, except for that Eris game, to the tune of a negative 13 goal differerential. That one's gotta hurt a little bit. And I'm not saying that with any sort of dig. Like, it's math. If you've given up 13 goals, and I believe, looking at the table, they've given up 18 goals. That's the most in the conference. So that's something you gotta focus on there. Maybe play some defense, guys.
Please.
I fully expect this to be another NPSL North match where it's going to be physical. Fusion will likely not stretch the field and attempt to close down like the passing lanes with the Crows and to penetrate in the final third. And you never know in this conference where weird shit does happen. It will be interesting to see if Pike brings what he brings to the table, and if he can shake off that ejection versus us, or if he gets even more fired up and gets tossed out again. That would be pure comedy that you can't script. But we're almost at the halfway point of our season, Nate.
Yeah.
And we're doing the runaround again. And the first time around, I thought there were players that Dakota had that can play, and they've just been beaten. And that's tough to come. It's tough to come back on the rubber matches when you got to look at your return leg. The first one you get is against a team that hasn't been beaten yet. That's just been kind of having their way.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think Dakota is what's going on with Dakota is kind of what I expected to go on with a lot of the other teams in the league, in that, like, you just don't have, there's just not enough talent out there for you, and the players that you import are just not the players that you thought you could, that were going to succeed for you. So Oh well, sorry, Dakota. Hopefully you can regain some pride over the course of the second half of the season, but I don't think it's going to happen for you on Wednesday.
I mean, you never know. Weird shit
Never
happens.
Never know. Keys to victory for City, John, knowing that we've got a probably bigger game on Saturday coming up.
Travel strong. I am happy to say that we will have 18 players for this game. So
Yeah.
In the past, it's been another one of those 15, 16 dudes that made the trip because it's midweek. It's in Fargo. You got to take off work. You got to not go to that internship. You got to not cut that lawn, whatever you're doing in the summer. So traveling strong. We're already going to do it. And it's definitely something that we haven't done in the past. Number 2, I combined 2 and 3 from last week, and that's controlling the narrative through possession and scoring the early goal. I think that we can level up by trying to score early again, especially on the road, midweek game. We need that early goal just to take all the weird shit out of it. In 2019, we saw that early goal come from Max Stegord off of a kickoff after we had just conceded a goal, and that was the gut punch. But we need the early goal, even if you get scored on early, to equalize right away, like we did in 2019. It's a good representation of what needs to happen. And number 3, I think rotate the roster. We have the depth. We've talked about it, but I think there's a lot of guys that we haven't seen in a while. Guys like Mark Bokine, guys like Javier Juarez, Gato. We haven't seen these guys in a while, and I know that they're prepping for when their number's called. But this is a perfect opportunity to show our depth and bring a strong squad on the road, but also be able to do it at the opportunity to rest some people, whether it's giving them only a half or whether it's giving them the day off. Yep. I think that this is the game to try that, and I'm confident in the squad that we're intending on bringing. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'm confident that from 1 to 32 on our roster, any of them can go to Dakota on a midweek and get it done. So the rotation is super key because it's going to keep guys fresh for a big game on Saturday.
That's for sure. So we got to check Dakota's social media for the stream information. I'm not really sure what it is off the top of my head. Couldn't find it yet. Kickoff is scheduled for 7 p.m., so be sure to stay alert Wednesday night for that information from out of Dakota Fusion. And then the final game, John, of our first trip through the table is against newcomers Joy Athletic. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Joy is the new NPSL wing of Joy of the People, which is the free play model youth club based
new Twin
in St. Louis, St. Louis Park and St. Paul. And yes, positionally in the table and play-wise, they are the new Twin Stars, I think. As we just mentioned earlier, Joy is performing really decently this year, winning against Sioux Falls and Dakota. They drew Eris in a surprise comeback, and they lost to Med City and Duluth. The question going into the season, John, was definitely around how this Joy squad of young talent holds up to the rest of the league. And so far, the answer feels pretty much in line with our predictions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to say it again, just to beat the drum. It's hard to win in our division. And the one thing that you can't lean on is talented youth across the roster, because you just can't do it. You need to have people that have at least sniffed playing at this level, and you need to have more than 1 or 2. You need to have like a good baseline of a core that can win games in this division because they know how it's going to be.
Sure.
What I look at is like what a difference someone like Charlie Adams could be if they were taken from the claw machine, picked them out of our player pool and put them on their roster. Like that would help them drastically with like the moxie that he has as a veteran in this league. Do they have players that are as skilled as Charlie? Absolutely. But what they don't have is that mental mindset of how to do it. And it's tough. It's tough. And that's not a slight. It's just honest to God truth.
Yeah. And we'll get into We'll get into why here in a sec, but I think one thing to talk about first and foremost is that this Joy team is dangerously strong and speedy in attack,
Mm-hmm.
right? They've got their key attack is Emmanuel Iwe. He is a true joy of the people prospect. He grew up playing in the system. He
He's
grew up
really good.
basically grew up with Ted's kid. Really, really good. He's been on trials in Germany. He was in Costa Rica for a while. I think he's got of the goals that Joy has scored this year, and
It's pretty much him and Whitney,
there are
right?
13 of them. He's scored 5 or 6. So he's super dangerous. And when you combine that with the opposite side, Phil Caputo and Whitney Brown, who's at striker, we know Whitney, right? Whitney has scored 3 goals. Caputo scored 2. Like, that's a dangerous attack, John. When you say you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 goals out of your front line, of your front 3, that's really good.
They're also playing against teams that don't have the best defense.
By now, they've played against everyone.
Yeah.
Except us. So it's like, I mean, that's pretty good. I'll give it to them that there's some attacking prowess there. I will say, do not underestimate E-Man.
I'll say this. After saying that they've scored a lot of those goals against teams that don't have great defense, I will say, though, that it possibly, with a front 3 in a 4-3-3, is probably the most potent attack outside of us. Yeah. For sure. Lots of respect. I mean, we know what Whitney can do. Lots of respect for Whitney. Whitney scored a bunch of big goals for us. Emmanuel Iwe, a fantastic talent. Like, you have to cue in on those type of guys. But they're good, and they're the type of team that can catch you on a counterattack and really make you pay.
The highlights against Duluth were 100% counterattack goals. Well, I guess, I shouldn't say 100%. There were 2 of them, and they were both incredibly lethal counterattack goals. Like, I think some of those defenders had no idea what was coming for them. So they're definitely dangerous on that counterattack. I think Joy is also capable of battling. They've clawed back to almost earn a draw at Duluth, which was pretty crazy. They were down 2-0. They came back, took the lead, lost the lead, and I think Duluth beat them in the very, very last minute, last gasp corner.
Forgot to mark Sidney Warden.
Yep, which you can't do. So they're definitely capable of battling for 90 minutes. I just think that they struggle with closing those games out. Like, it's one thing to fight, and it's another thing to win. And when you think about that last minute loss to Duluth, the last minute draw to Eris that happened basically in 100% extra time, 90th minute, 90 plus minute goals given up where they had a win. Like, that's tough. Where does that come from? Why is there, where does that is it a lack of depth? Is it a lack of experience? Like you said, like guys that aren't used to playing in the NPSL and what the NPSL can throw at you. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say, really. I mean, I've watched a lot of those games, and a lot of it was what Joy does a good job of keeping the ball, which I'm excited for that game Saturday, because it might be an opportunity where there's a team that won't just bunker down and it will actually come at us. And I think that they will do that. I think, and a lot of the time when that happens is if you don't have the folks on the back line who can withstand those waves of pressure, and then are being tasked to keep the ball as well, and you don't have the reinforcements to bring in that don't make the level of play drop, that's where you get those late goals, because it's mental errors, it's just physical tired errors, things that you can't train for, right, unless you're working 100% on fitness.
And I will say that depth at defender and depth on the bench is definitely a weakness of theirs, right? I think top 2 defenders for Joy are this kid out of Serbia, who's pretty good, and Otis Anderson, who I think was a Futures or MC2 guy.
MC2, yeah.
So, definitely when you're thinking about your number 2 defender is probably 5th or 6th string defender in the Minneapolis City system, they're just there's no upgrade there that can deal with what we've got on the bench.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, the free play model is, it's not an incorrect model. It's a very good way to learn soccer. But what you lose is in the full strength 11 aside at a level like this, you lose that like trained in defensive shape. Defensive adjustments for countering an attack, because you're typically just freely playing, no pun intended, just working, and goals are happening, and you're working on keeping the ball and trying to outscore the other team. But when the other team can stop you from scoring and you can't outgun them, that's where you run into problems. And if you don't have that depth, it's very difficult to come back from. And we've seen that in the games. And what I'm saying is like, the proof's in the pudding. You can go watch it. But the players can play for joy. And like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for this one. New team in our division. It's good to always get the new blood. Like when VSLT was new, that was all awesome. We had a brief glimpse of maybe getting Milwaukee Torrent, who's having a decent season right now, into our division until COVID came. So I was excited to see them. New teams are exciting, Nate.
That's for sure. So John, first time we've seen this team face to face, what are the keys to Minneapolis City's victory?
Number one, don't fall into the traps. What I mean by that is, I hope and I fully anticipate that they will try to come at us in different ways that other teams have not. And that can cause traps. That can cause us to potentially go away from what our game plan is, which we know is more of that patience and possession. If you get one wild horse, then the whole entire stable falls apart. So don't fall into those traps. Like, withstand the waves of pressure, but keep doing what you can do to set up success. Number two is lean on experience. We talked about it already. We have the experience, and that's no news to anyone. A lot of these guys have been here since day one, but also have been with us for multiple seasons. And that experience is something that they lack. So let's lean on it. Let's pull out a victory through experience if we need to, if the game gets to that point, and truly lean on it, as opposed to number one, falling into those traps. And I think number three is vary things up in the final third. I think the one thing that we can do to disrupt what they might throw at us is for us to get a little bit more active and adjust how we attack. Not adjusting like our mantra and our mentality and what's worked, but let's not just show them the same thing every time. Let's make those defenders that we talked about that are maybe a little less experienced, maybe a little less on the depth perspective. Let's make them try to think about what we're going to do before it happens and then change it up. Like, don't keep throwing the same type of thing at them over and over again, because any defender at this level will figure out a repetition and will be able to stop it. Whether they get tired and then someone comes in. I don't think that they've made a defensive sub all season for many of the games I watched. I think all their defenders have pretty much played 90, maybe, an outlier here or there. Mm-hmm. But if you can vary that up and you start drawing center backs that are used to just, being rooted in their spot to coming into the midfield, you start overlapping your wings, your striker starts getting in behind. We look at the third goal against Med City. It was the third runner who ended up getting the ball and getting taken down in the box. That's the type of shit I'm talking about, is like, just never give them the same thing twice, right in a row. You can give them the same thing twice in a couple of sequences, but make them do the thinking and get to your advantage spots before they can, because they're thinking about it instead of just organically doing it. So this is the only matchup left that's in town. So head over to St. Louis Park on Saturday. Game starts at 7, but the area around the stadium is very, I'll say this again, very tailgate friendly. So let's pull a Man City in Ted Lasso and buy out the stadium. Make it feel like a city home game. Make it feel like Denver in CONCACAF was in favor of Mexico. And let's just pack that stadium full of Crow supporters. And pro tip, if you're watching at home, mute the stream.
All right. Well, that does it for the show this week. Thank you to our new show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. Everyone's got a tightly curated Zoom setup these days. You got your living space set up to show the best you to all your clients and coworkers. If you're looking for the right props to say, I love soccer, but in a mature, cool, interesting adult way, tear the posters of Ronaldo that you won at the fair down and head on over to footballstadiumprints.com. Just browse their litany of awesome-looking stadium designs, including, of course, the Edor Nelson Field, all available as prints and to be printed on everything that keeps you classy. And what's better than that? Well, City fans can head over to footballstadiumprints.com and check out those Edor Nelson shirt and print designs and use code CROWS10 to save 10% off your order. That is CROWS10, and you can rock the home of the Crows, or I guess any of the other stadiums or teams that you care about wherever you go. And thanks again to our friends at footballstadiumprints.com. Father's Day, right around the corner, and every Crow dad needs an upgrade to his man cave. So get after it. And remember, footballstadiumprints.com ships all orders from the United States right here in these US of A. So there are no additional international shipping charges. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, maybe it is time to give to the club that gives back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game, like at our upcoming summer camps, as well as through our Futures Program Scholarship Fund. Consider a tax-deductible donation to a true city-focused organization. The season is in full swing. We're tossing a lot of soccer news your way, but if there's something you think we missed, you got to send us mail. It is easy. You got to hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, you can hit the club up at MPLS City SC on the Twitter. Thanks for joining us this week. That's going to do it. I am Nate. That was John. It's a double game week, and that's going to mean 2 reasons to celebrate. Get on out to St. Louis Park and see some soccer. And you got hooked.